Well, after Sony's State of Play the other day, I'm actually starting to think that I should have played the lottery ahead of time. Like maybe the stars were aligning or something, because they're actually bringing back Final Fantasy Tactics. Now, this might not be a big deal to some people, but for me, one of my earliest Final Fantasy games that I played, kind of in the PS2 era, it actually was Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. It was actually the Game Boy Advance version, or I shouldn't say version, but like title from this series. So during that era, I was often playing things like Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy X, 12, and games like Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Well, what they're doing is they're actually bringing back this series with the Ivalice Chronicles. This is the original game from 1997 on the PlayStation 1, and there have only been a handful of Final Fantasy Tactics games, like dedicated tactics games, with at least one of them being on phone, on mobile. So this is not a huge series in terms of spin-offs. It's one that they have not done a lot with, which leaves me pretty excited that they're actually bringing back that classic game, and they're actually going to have the enhanced version, which adds fully voiced dialogue, an optimized and updated UI, graphical improvements, and a number of other quality of life features, including the more accessible Squire difficulty. So basically for beginners, people who aren't maybe used to this, there is a way to start getting used to it. And so I think that's really interesting. Now that said, there is also a classic version coming with this, so there is going to be two different ways to play this. It's not just like they changed it and you have the changed version. They actually are taking that into account. So I want to talk about this for just a few minutes today. It is going to be a little bit of a shorter video because there's not a lot of information for it yet. But I do have a question of the day for you, which is there another Final Fantasy spin-off of some kind, or maybe even just a forgotten Square or Square Enix game that you would want to see come back? I know Chocobo Racing has been kind of dead in the water for a long time. There's other spin-offs. There's obviously other RPG franchises that don't even have Final Fantasy's name. So I'd be interested to hear from you if there's one of those that you would like to see return. Now, one thing that is good about this game, just in general, is the fact that there is actually a physical edition of it for those who want to play it that way. That's what I prefer, so that's what I will be getting. But you might wonder, okay, well, what's the big deal? Everything has physical. No, it doesn't, especially with Square Enix anymore. It feels like they're cutting a lot of corners and doing as little as possible to satisfy that part of the market. You kind of could see that with the Pixel Remaster Collection. For a very long time, they did not care. So to actually see them bringing this back and doing that with it, I'm happy with. Now, that said, there is an Amazon exclusive version of this with a pre-order bonus and everything like that. If you feel annoyed at that kind of stuff, it is here, which it's just unfortunately commonplace now. One thing I will say about it, though, is that there was also a collector's edition, which when I was talking about this, was already sold out. And that collector's edition was really cool. They did have a pop-up art piece, like a Chocobo mini plush set, Zodiac stones. They had a little figure. I mean, like, it's very cool. But I believe it was like $250 US, which, going up from the price of the game itself, that's about 5 times the price of the game. This game is $50 USD. So that's a lot. I didn't get that, and even if it wasn't still in stock, I wouldn't have gotten that because of the price. But for people who are even more into this than me, I'm sure that was something very cool. Now that said, it's coming out September 30th of 2025, the editions of this game. The pre-orders are up if you are interested in it. Amazon, if you get it, there's a double-sided poster, which that's kind of cool. I mean, it might be something worth framing, putting in your room, especially if you're a big fan and maybe you can't spring $250 for one game. For me, that's pretty pricey. But in general, like, this is an exciting thing for this to be back, because you can either play that new, enhanced, better, and I say quote-unquote better version, which a lot of people really like with the dialogue being voiced and everything, or you can play that classic version that maybe you grew up with, and that way you can enjoy it whatever way you want. Because there is also the War of the Lions translation here, which is considered better. And so essentially that version, it stays true to the original in almost every aspect. as described by PlayStation Blog, but it includes some handy features such as autosave, so you're not going to get totally screwed over because, you know, a lot of games of that time didn't have anything like that. Now, what's interesting about this is if you are a longtime fan of this offshoot or a new fan, this is a great way to get into it because it is the very first game. Now, this takes place in Ivalice. You might remember this is a kingdom that is actually used in multiple Final Fantasy games that are loosely connected. I believe Final Fantasy 12 is in there as well. So there are actually kind of, I mean, it's a pretty sprawling world in general. And in a lot of ways, it's a political thriller that is also a story of friendship and companionship and things like that. I always loved that these games were a little bit more board game based. I mean, it is still turn-based, but you kind of move around different slots on the field, and then you do different things there. It was very unique compared to other Final Fantasy games because of that, other than, of course, the other tactics games. And so because of that, I think it's great to actually see it come back. Now, I'm interested to hear what you think about this. Like, are you interested in this? Did you like things from this game? I know it has a very good job system for different characters. I personally am just happy to see them acknowledging this game and doing something with it. I really do wish that maybe, you know, Advance or something like that had come with it, just because that's the one I grew up on. But who knows? If this sells well and people actually care and support it, maybe this means we'll get to see more in the future from this subgenre of Final Fantasy. Interested to hear your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, you want to leave a like, subscribe, I appreciate that very, very much. You can support our channel by using Fortnite code DJAY123, checking out our other channels like Degenerate Plays, where we play through games, podcast style, hanging out with you. It's a wonderful time. If you want to check that out, that's been growing. I have other news from State of Play over on my other channel, Degenerate J, as well. Both of those are in the description down below. We cover anime, manga, and other stuff on Magical Jill, which is down there. And finally, we do have our own store, cosmobunny.shop, where we sell coasters, keychains, trays, and more made from recycled paper from comics, manga, magazines, and more. These are damaged books. We saved some of the paper. We actually turn that into new transformative art pieces for your home, and then we recycle the rest and keep it out of landfills. Discount code DJAY123 will net you 10% off your first purchase, and my wife Jill over there has also been making really great handmade resin jewelry, which has been doing pretty well. We appreciate your support on that. Those of you who have checked that out recently means a lot to us, helps us out a lot since our channels are a lot smaller, so doing things like that helps us continue to be able to do this. Have a fantastic day, and as always everyone, stay shui.